Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Crist here from the Jaguar path in Costa Rica. I am in the beautiful mountains of Costa Rica, visiting the mountain Chiripo, which is the tallest mountain of Central America. And in Peru, we call these the tallest mountains of the area. We call them Apus. We call them the sacred mountains. So welcome. I invite you to close your eyes and bring your attention inward in this moment that we all arrive together. Thank you for being here. I want to say thank you for those of you, if you'd like to put any comments, I can see the comments, or any questions, that would be great. And it is so wonderful to see you guys here. I can't see your faces. I don't have a screen to see your faces, but I can see some of your names are here. And also, again, if you put up a question or any comment, if you want to add something to what I'm saying, please feel free to do so. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today. Ignite your wild. I wanted to just bring your attention to what this means, because ignite your wild is something that the phrase, ignite your wild, came to me about 3 months ago or 2 months ago. And I just want to say what it means, because it's really important. Why ignite your wild? And we'll say what it means. We have to ignite our wild because we have been domesticated. We are perhaps the only species that has done this. We domesticated ourselves. So, we didn't only, hey, Jenna, welcome. We didn't only domesticate the cats and the dogs and the chicken and the horses and the sheep. We have domesticated ourselves. And is that a problem? Yeah, it can be a problem, because chickens can't fly, right? And dogs are not as powerful as wolves are, and cats are not as powerful as jaguars are. So, and of course, not all animals should be almighty powerful, but each animal, each species should be able to reach its own, have the ability to reach its own best. So by domesticating something, we're really clipping its wings. Ignite your wild. Ignite is about remembering, is about getting some fire started at something that's beginning to be dull. It's something that's beginning to be lukewarm. It's something that's beginning to be stale, or something that's beginning to be in a pattern. So as we domesticated ourselves, one of the things that we have done while we're still mammals is that we put ourselves in these patterns, and we live life in patterns. And as we get into these patterns, we get really, really comfortable. And we create these knowns. We know, if I do this and say this, then most people are going to answer that. So when we have these patterns, basically what happens is we steal from our own selves the possibility of evolving. Because while we do something in a pattern to make sure that we're safe from the response of others, what happens is, in that pattern, we just remain to be the same person. You're wild. So that was about ignite. We need to ignite something. So there's a push and a primary first flame, get some fuego in there to get things moving and shake us out of a stupor of repeating patterns. Because the patterns that we live in, and if you look at the world and you take 3 steps back and you look at the politicians of the world, if you ever think that they behave like 6-year-olds, they do. Because that's what most humans do. We create a pattern when we're 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, 7, 8. And the pattern is, a pattern and a music of emotions, a circle of emotions that come and go and then come again and they come again. And those emotions and these patterns have been established by impressions that we got when we were young and impressionable. So as we were impressionable, those patterns stuck in, and I decided this is who I am, this is how I feel, I'm sensitive to that, I get angry to that, I get confused to that. And because we like the known, we kind of like stay in that and keep on repeating it, and those patterns are there. So then there's times that I feel that I'm not going anywhere in life. So we need to ignite that. Something needs to be done, a moment of like super inspiration. And or maybe, and I hope this is the inspiration to shift you to change the pattern. Because changing patterns means evolution. Patterns means nothing. You're like always, we're always stuck there. Yeah, let's get some fire energy. That is beautiful. Jenna, thank you. Rewilding has been such an important part of finding that liberation and freedom within our divine connection. So, so true. And thank you. I'm going to bring it home by saying, ignite your wild. The your, that part of your wild, and why I'm offering this to you is because that word, your wild, is your whole self, your true self, your deepest self, that self that came and was born here like a mammal through a 9-month period of mulching and the stars and the skies and creating bones and creating organs and then being born through a womb and coming into breathing air. That that's what you are. What I'm inviting you to reignite is your truest self. And again, I'm going to ask I'm going to ask you, take a moment, take a second here and feel, do you feel that you are fulfilling your potential? Do you feel if circumstances were different, maybe that you could fulfill your potential? So the circumstances don't change until we change. The circumstances in our life don't change until we do something about it. And I'm going to invite you to notice if you're saying, no, you're not right, because if you're in a war zone, there's nothing, the circumstances are what they are in the war now. And yet there's some people that leave. And let me just not touch that subject too much, but I've seen in villages in Peru and villages in Costa Rica and third world countries where I see that one person, a man, a woman, that says, you know what, I can't, this village up here in the mountains is not fulfilling me. I want to be with more people. I want to be with I want to have another way to fulfill myself. And those are the people that get up and leave. They get up and walk. They get all the courage and really, really, really address themselves. So ignite yourself. I'm inviting you to feel into what is your absolute or your whole potential and how you can really bring it in. And I'm hoping to inspire you through these conversations that we're having here. Ignite your wild. What is wild? Again, what is wild is what is connected to the earth. What is wild is what is connected to the elements. And the things that we did with living in creating cities to protect ourselves, to feel safer, because we're in clusters and cities and in buildings with air conditionings and heatings, with warm water and kitchens that we could cook food, or refrigerators that we could freeze food. So what's all those elements that are really good? Yes, they've made our life easier. At the same time, they have taken us away from the wild, and they have domesticated us. So we can only survive when we have the refrigerator, when we have the kitchen, to the stove to cook, when we have the air conditioning, when we have all that. And what's happened is that our wild has disappeared, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I want to live out, I can't go camping, or I'm afraid of the other animals, etc. It's more than just rewilding and wilding yourself. And igniting your wild means to really awaken the deepest part of yourself and be able to step out of a box, right? What we call step out of of shields of inhibition. We're inhibited by shields. Things happen when we're young, and then we say, well, if I said that and that person said, well, I won't play with you anymore, then we adjust our behavior. And then we're heartbroken at 16 and we're like falling in love with a girl, or for you girls, just falling in love with another person anyway. And then when we're heartbroken, we decide, well, I'm going to keep my heart protected. So because this is the way it is, I'll be hurt. And we make these really significant decisions that define the rest of our life. And they're about protection and about not tapping into your own sensation. So wild, when I say ignite your wild, I mean the wild is in what you're feeling deeper inside you before you start thinking. How can you start wagging your tail? How can you start purring? How can you start running around in circles in happiness and rolling in a field of hay and really enjoying it? How can you play in the water and try to be like the dolphin or the spinner dolphins and just play, play, play? And it's not only play, maybe when you work like really hard, like work with the elephant picking up the logs. When you have a mission in life, how can you tap into the Jaguar and see where you want to be, see where the prey is, that end? So in essence, we live in a world that has many inhibitions, and we live in a world that was created by our ancestors, and these ancestors essentially are the people of the Dark Ages, like all the Europeans that were forced to submission in the Dark Ages, that persecuted women, animals, and magic. As the Spanish Inquisition, men in power of religion and the men in power of the politics, persecuted women and animals and magic. What happened through those next 5 centuries till now is that language changed, and our language, we began to be careful because it was things that people would say that would end up putting them to the pyre, or relationships people had with animals that then got them in weird trouble, or animals that were wild and beautiful, they just shot them all. Again, the whole of Europe was exactly like Africa, right? There was like elephants in London, there was lions in Paris, there was giraffes in in Germany. There's like all these wild animals, and they disappeared. And of course, women were put down. Women couldn't vote. Women couldn't vote till what was 1930 something, right? 1930s in the United States, you couldn't vote. Women could not vote, let alone in 1700. I want to say 1740. The church put together a committee. It was all the churches we got together to look at two main things. And I'll present it to you in our next Monday. I'll find the dates, or any one of you, if you're going to Google this and find it. I think it was 1740. All like the Catholic, the Vatican and the Church of Spain and the Church of France and England, they all got together and they had this huge conference. And the conference was about two very important matters, two very important questions that were set there. And the questions were these are the two questions. Do women and do animals have a soul? Do women and do animals have a soul? 1740. And don't hold me to that date. More or less, it's around there in the 1700s. So I'm talking about 300 years ago, 250 years ago. That's yesterday. Let's think. 250 years ago is yesterday. Is just before America was settled. So in 24 hours, and the next day they voted, and there was a unanimous vote from people that represent God, that souls do not have an animal. That animals do not have a soul. There was a unanimous vote that animals do not have a soul. Okay? Yeah, crazy. You're right, Jenna. No, wait a minute. It gets worse. So the other question, do women have a soul? It took 30 days. It took 30 days, in which 30 days many heads rolled, many people were fired. Oh, it was a chaos until 30 days later they decided that, oh, okay, you women have a soul too. Yeah, right? And of course, Sheila, thank you. Your cat has a soul. Of course, your cat, and our dogs and fish and dolphins and whales when they look at you, and eagles when they look at you. Even last night, we were with 5 friends together, 6 of us all together, and we're talking. There was a spider on the floor, and we're like, "Oh wow, that's a big spider." It's like, yeah, yeah, and they get bigger here in Costa Rica. And then we all turned away and we were talking, and the moment we were all not looking, the spider went and disappeared. Of course, the spider knew we were all looking, and that's beyond just an instinct. It's a sentient being, an individual. Not all dogs are the same. If you have a dog, you know your dog has a personality. If you have 2, 3 dogs, you'll know each dog has his personality. The same with cats and cows, and goats and tigers and all these beautiful animals. So we live in this era, and I feel this era of like being so excommunicated from nature, as we basically drew ourselves away from our own nature. We're facing all these problems. So Ignite Your Wild is a multi-leveled project, as I've shared with you before, and I'm working hard on this. Oh my God, Jenna, thank you. May I share? I'll share this. I've got 4 dogs, 2 cats, 2 birds. Yep, and they all have a soul and very big personalities. Yes, 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 they do. They do have personalities. They're just amazing. Their characters, they're so funny how each one comes up with their character. So the layers of Ignite Your Wild are Monday afternoons, and again, as I promised, I will be offering a little bit more information, and if you want education, tapping into the environmentalists from the universities, and more specifically my sister, Dr. Crist, an environmentalist, an author of 3 books on the environment, and a leading environmentalist. We will be working together, and I'll be sharing with you what our scientists know now, and that part of what can I do and what can you do. What do the environmental scientists tell us that we can actually, each of us, do to help make a difference, right? So with that, I hope that we're going to create some projects and offer that to all of you to participate. In the meantime, as you may already know, we are really working hard. I haven't worked like this in a very, very long time. We have crazy, like I'm in the woods, I'm in the jungle, and I'm in the sea, but in essence, I'm working 10, 12-hour days because we're creating funds, we're getting the funds, and we're looking at places, and we're doing studies here in Costa Rica. We're doing some environmental studies, and we're on location in different places throughout, and especially now through the south, which is the most biodiverse place of the planet right now, the Osa Peninsula, and working with the conservationists here. We're trying to help. And one of the things that we're doing is that we're moving ahead in the next week or so to buy a 10,000 acre farm, which is a rice farm and a palm oil farm. Now, both of these, the way they're doing this cultivation here is basically the palm oil piece of it is just depleting the earth, and the rice farm is being filled with chemicals. So our goal is to buy these 10,000 acres and reintroduce the wild back, bring in jungle, bring in jungle. I've been flying over the Osa Peninsula and Pavones, the south part of Costa Rica on the Pacific side, and I've been doing a lot of flying, zigzagging, and kind of like breaking up. We're creating a map of the area. But when I look down at that area, I see a big wound. There's this big, like, this open sore that's just looking at it. It's just, it's painful. And you can see where there's, because we're close to the borders where Panama starts, that the jungle begins again. But there's this part of Costa Rica jungle coming and then stops. And then this big gap that is absolutely like square, that is a gap. So animals can't move through that on one hand. And on the other hand, they're dumping chemicals, and all those chemicals go down the river that I can see from the farm right into the Gulf of the Osa Peninsula, which is the richest piece of sea on the planet, filled with, we were flying and we could see, I saw 9 humpback whales, a whole tribe of whales moving with their cubs and their what are they called, with their little ones anyway. We saw this. Oh my God! I wish my sister was there to see it. She loves nature. We saw this huge shark whale, and dolphins in the hundreds. So what's happening is all these chemicals are poisoning the place where the whales come to give birth to their calves. The calves. That's the word, calves. So thank you, Sheila, for sending all your love. It's to the area and to us. So the third part, so this Ignite Your Wild is Monday evening talks. We hope to grow, so please tell your friends about them. And again, I'll be bringing more and more material from the environmentalists to share with you guys what is it that you could do to help the planet. Because if you live in a city, you might feel like, oh, I can't do anything. What am I going to do? I can't. This is not up to me. This is up to other people, and it's not true. It's not true. Thank you, Emmy. Calves. I found the word, and it is heartbreaking because we could see the chemical trails. I could see the trail when I fly over there, that area. So again, threefold and expanding, right? So Monday evenings, I'll be talking about animals and informing you and just offering education of what we can all do. This is our planet. This is our home. It's your home. It's your home. It's, if you have children, it's your children's home. We got to clean it up. The second part is that we're buying land and rewilding it and cleaning it up from chemicals. We're working with people that know how to take the chemicals out of the earth by planting specific types of mushrooms, actually, that take it all up. And the third part, I'm really getting excited, is that we're getting this place, and I'll leave the area out for the moment. We're looking for a place where we're going to create an educational center to educate the locals, right? And give jobs to locals, to protect the environment, give volunteer jobs and some paid jobs to really help out locally with their own home and their own immediate home. My belief and the reason I'm doing this here is that I know as a fact, and the reason that I decided to stay here just over 2 years ago when COVID hit, and we decided never to come back at the moment, at least, is because I know that Costa Rica is the most biodiverse place on the planet. And I feel in that way, it holds life, it holds seeds, it holds the life we need to protect. And this place is like the last paradise. And if we don't protect the last paradise, we can be, and we are in serious trouble. We are in serious trouble. And I don't say this, see, When they talk about wars and they talk about epidemics or pandemics, what they're doing, what is happening, not one specific person is doing it, what is happening is that we get into fear, and we shut down. We go into this fight or flight. So we're not thinking straight. So when I say we're in grave danger and we're in difficulty, I'm not just saying, oh, there's a war, there's a pandemic. I don't want to push you into fight or flight. But what I'm doing is I'm inviting you to come to your heart and say, well, what can I do? Because when we bring our energy to our heart and we just leave ourselves out of it and say, what can I do for someone else, for another tree, for another forest, for another person, for another animal? Then what happens automatically, the electricity moves to the front of the body. And the electricity comes to the front of the forehead, to the frontal lobe, right? The prefrontal cortex, where intuition lives, compassion lives, empathy, and our ability to see clearly. So I invite you to step out of fear. I definitely invite you to, it's up to you, not listen to the news. If you haven't seen the old movie Wag the Dog, just know that that's what's happening right now again. They're wagging the dog. Who? The same old people. It's the same old characters playing this big game. And it doesn't really matter. It's not kind of a conspiracy. It's just stupidity, you know? Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan, his teacher, are talking. Don Juan, the amazing sorcerer, the amazing shaman and healer, is talking to his student, Don Juan, and he says, just know this, that on earth there's two forces that prevail, that are running things: good and stupidity. Good and stupidity. There is no evil. Even with the worst person that you've met that hurt you, that was mean, that was just, right? They're not evil. Right? And even if you go to the yogic teachings, to the Buddhist teachings, arrogance and mean behavior starts from ignorance. Starts from ignorance. So there's a lot of ignorance. So we create the situation, we take ourselves away from nature, and B, as a result, we feel alone and afraid, and that creates your narcissists and sociopaths. So alone and afraid and disattached to anything, that now I can just try to take someone else's energy. Yeah, excellent books, right? So I'm going to bring it home. We're going to keep it short. And I think that's the best way to continue it. Maybe we do half an hour every Monday afternoon. And isn't it completely magical? Thank you, Sunny Jane. It is magical here. I'm going to close today by reading a poem from one of my most beloved poets, Hafiz. Hafiz is a Persian poet. He's a Sufi master. And this poem comes from a book called The Gift. Hafiz, The Gift. If you Google it, I say it's a must in every house. Sufis, I think Sufism is not exactly a religion. Sufism looks at life as being created by what they refer to as God, but what they feel in essence is a consciousness, a great consciousness. And while in other religions, including Christianity, which is widespread in the first world, Europe and the United States, has it that when I want to be closer to God, maybe I have to go through a priest, or I have to talk to a monk, or I have to go to a church. And then all that is beautiful too. When you talk to Sufis say you have a personal relationship. You're with a friend. Hafiz calls him the friend. God is the friend, and puts a capital F on that, friend. And you're always, and it's just like many of his poems, it's like Sufis take away the barrier between the finite human beings, the immortals, and God, the infinite, loving, consciousness. So there's joking. It's just like, oh, we're in the same boat with the friend, and or I'm tickling, or God tickled me all night and I'm still laughing. So without any further ado, I'm just gonna share this poem, one of my many favorites, Hafiz, Hafiz, and it's called The Gift. I invite you to find it. I have it next to Nina, my wife, and I have it on our bedside, and it is our Bible. We like you just open it, and anything you read is just nourishment for the soul and just easement for the brain, for the mind. So here we go. Why just ask the donkey in me to speak to the donkey in you, when I have so many other beautiful animals and brilliant colored birds inside that are longing to say something wonderful and exciting to your heart? Let's open all the locked doors upon our eyes that keep us from knowing the intelligence that begets love and a more lively and satisfying conversation with the friend. Let's turn loose our golden falcons so that they can meet in the sky where our spirits belong, necking like two hot kids. Let's hold hands and get drunk near the sun and sing sweet songs to God until he joins us with a few notes from his own sublime lute and drum. If you have a better idea of how to pass a lonely night after your glands may have performed all their little magic, then speak up, sweetheart, speak up. For Hafiz and all the world will listen. Why just bring your donkey to me, asking for stale hay and a boring confidence with the idiot in regards to this precious matter, such a precious matter as love? When I have so many other divine animals and brilliant colored birds inside that are longing to so sweetly greet you. I feel that I've been in several places in my life where I heard someone read a poem and it's like, oh, wow, ooh, and what did he say? So what I think is the right way to go about it is read it one more time to close our evening by reading it slowly so you can take it in. And I will add this comment that here he's not degrading the donkey. He's just referring to the donkey's quality of being stubborn, right? So why would your stubborn self speak to my stubborn self? What is that ego self, right? And that's where we all talk to each other. Thank you, Emmy. So I'm going to read it one more time slowly. I feel you all can hear it better. I know I like that when someone reads a poem. I'm like, oh, I wish I could hear it one more time. So here goes. Why just ask the donkey in me to speak to the donkey in you, when I have so many other beautiful animals and brilliant colored birds inside that are longing to say something wonderful and exciting to your heart? Let's open all the locked doors upon our eyes that keep us from knowing the intelligence that begets love and a more lovely and satisfying conversation with a friend. Let's turn loose our golden falcons so that they can meet in the sky where our spirits belong, necking like two hot kids. Let's hold hands and get drunk near the sun and sing sweet songs to God until he joins us with a few notes from his own sublime lute and drum. If you have a better idea of how to pass a lonely night after your glands may have performed all their little magic, then speak up, sweetheart. Speak up. For Hafiz and all the world will listen. Why just bring your donkey to me, asking for stale hay and a boring conference with the idiot in regards to this precious matter, such a precious matter as love? when I have so many other divine animals and brilliant color birds inside that are all longing to so sweetly greet you. So, beloved ones, I will send a big thank you to you with all my wild and brilliant, colorful animals inside. Thank you all, beloved ones, that all of you who are new, and definitely heartfelt thank you for all of you who have been supporting us for years and for our who are always here. May we always bring love into your life, and may we bring an intelligent love that moves through people's traumas, people's hurt, people's uh, inability and stupidity. May we always be kind to all and know that those who act in a mean way or a stupid way are not either evil or stupid. There's just a trauma there that needs to be healed. Their heart needs to be there, where our heart is, close to the animals and close to God. Thank you all so much for being here. I wish you a beautiful evening, and I look forward to sharing more. I want to say here that tomorrow evening, we're beginning a 12-week program every Tuesday, the medicine wheel. And my beloved teacher and scholar, Wilbert Salas, Don Wilbert Salas, will be teaching most of this training. I'll be there in a few of these sessions and working with you guys and with Don Wilbert, Don Francisco, and Dona Juana. And I really hope to see you there. Go online at thejaguarpath.com and check out the medicine wheel. It is all a gift. It is all a gift that can empower you, that can give you a new way of thinking. Lots of love. And horpichai, as we say in Quechua, horpichai, horpichai, horpichai. Thank you all. May your heart sing like a wild bird. May you be wagging your tail for the next few days and purring for the next few nights. I am so happy. Yes, see you all at the medicine wheel tomorrow. Thank you. Lots of love.